Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and everyone else.
Tonight we are going to watch an animated movie, Nimona. I had no idea about it. Thank you, Paul.
Not me either.
Um, I understand that it's a very special animation, with a special message. It's a message that never dies. That's how it has been described to me.
Okay.
So I'm not particularly um, enamored with animated movies. I have one which is my all-time favorite, and that's the good old Oblio.
Oh, yes, you have showed me that one.
We have beautiful music there, and we have the voice of Ringo Starr. That's the one that I absolutely love. So maybe today we will find another one that we will fall in love with. So let's go. Oblio. Why did I say Oblio?
It's kind of a similar message in a lot of ways.
Right?
Yeah.
The different misfit monster.
The odd one out, the black sheep, or
Right?
well, I guess this one's a bit more than the black sheep. This one's
It's the
a little more
monster.
dramatic than that.
It's the monster.
Yeah.
And also, it reminded me of Alan Turing in the Imitation Game. Remember?
Yeah.
You watched
Yeah.
it. Because
I didn't think of that at all.
yeah, remember, I mean, it's the idea is okay, it's the misfit, the weird, even monster member of the community, which uh, eventually saves the day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Not only it turns out that hey, at the end of the day, that person is a human being. It's just that I don't know. It has a round head. It doesn't have a point.
Well, if you're going to touring, then I guess it's fair to also go to Pink Floyd's The Wall, because
Mm-hmm.
this movie had some of those elements too. The idea that we wall ourselves off from something, we put barriers up from something that we want to consider evil, or we've convinced ourselves is bad, dangerous,
Dangerous. That's what it
and
is.
so we spend our lives protecting ourselves against
Mm-hmm.
something, and we even sometimes forget what we're trying to protect ourselves against. And in this case, it went back generations, didn't it?
Yeah, this is interesting because um, it's one of the two reactions. One is building the wall to protect ourselves
Like a
from
fortress for ourselves.
from the monster,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one is Oblio, where the city council gathered and they decided that Oblio
They
has to
banished.
be banished. He
Yeah.
has to leave. He has to go somewhere. We have to put him on an island or something,
Yeah,
never to
yeah.
come back. Never to come back.
Either way, it's separation and distancing. And there always has to be the one that is being distanced, either by barriers or by being banished, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever form. Um, there's always a sort of self justification and sense of self virtue about what we're doing. We convince ourselves that this is for the good of the kingdom, for the good of the citizens. This is for your safety. This is for your benefit. This is for your protection. This is and there has to be a villainizing of the other. There has to be, okay, a monster, uh, a creature. You can't exactly say that you're dehumanizing them by calling them something different than yourself. But there is this sort of othering that happens, whether it's dehumanizing or some other form of diminishing their value and removing their rights in a way, their dignity, so that you can feel okay about treating them the way you are.
And in any case, it's about the society which feels threatened, because it was the same with Oblio. Okay, Oblio was just a little boy, harmless. It couldn't harm anyone. But hey, he had no point. What's the point? It had no point. And then when the city council gathered, the idea was presented that it threatens the social order, the tradition and the social order. And what are we going to do? The establishment is going to be...
It will destroy the fabric of society.
Exactly.
And then everything will turn into chaos, and who knows what sort of evils will follow.
It will destabilize the order, the norms, the traditions, and people will have no compass anymore. Where are we going to go? What's going to happen with us? And so either way, even if it's like in Oblio's case, it was not a physical threat like with Nimona, it's still a threat.
Right. Well, coming back around to Nimona, there's also this other element that which is brought out very strongly in the movie, and rightfully so, and that is that when we villainize someone, when we dehumanize someone, and when we take this course of behavior, it actually has the effect of creating a danger to society. Because it's the damage that this sort of treatment inflicts on a person.
It's pushing them.
Or maybe even not a person, maybe an animal even. You treat an animal, any living being, you abuse them and you create a monster. You are the creator of the monster. At least the evil part of the monster, right?
Well, this is exactly what happened in Nimona. When we get a glimpse at the beginnings, when everything started, she remembered.
You see, it's about a relationship and a destroyed relationship because of perceived difference, distrust, fear, whatever. It's fear-based, right? Fear of something we don't understand, or fear of the reactions of those around us. And for whatever reason, there was a lot of hurt that developed at that happened then. That was Queen Glorith's reason, because I don't think that she was happy about banishing.
Yes.
So it goes into a lot of these things.
And on the other hand, we should...
it is the fact that society created the monster that was a danger to society.
Which society? And I want to point this out. I just thought about it. Which type of society? Because I have to remember right now the Scandinavian countries. And the way everything is so different, meaning people are open. They're open to all sorts of different ideas, different attitudes towards life, perspectives.
Well, even their shall I say the justice system, the handling of criminals is so different there.
So different, and
it's reflected in the entire.
I have to recommend here the Michael Moore's "Who Do We Conquer Next" documentary. Awesome. But why? It's because they have a very high standard in education.
Yes.
And people are educated, and they're in the process of education. They're taught and encouraged how to use their own mind, how to ask questions, how to be open, how to search continuously, And so it's kind of hard to manipulate a society like this.
It's quite difficult
Mhm.
because to manipulate, you either have to have more knowledge or more power or or the ability to create fear. Well, fear is really probably one of the best
Yes, it
manipulative
is. Yeah,
tools.
it's always
And
present in.
and when you have a society that doesn't isn't based on fear, where
Mhm.
you want to understand something, you go investigate, you go try to understand, you you're not afraid of the criminals, you try to understand them and help them to understand the world as well. Well, then when fear is gone, then there gets to be a better balance and way of handling things. But here with Nimona, obviously this whole scenario was set up because of fear.
It was fear, and it's even more than that. You see, it was some sort of um in its nature, the whole setup was had some sort of religious element in it,
Of course,
because
of
because
course.
it was they believed in something they've never seen.
Yes.
Granted, it was the destructive negative force,
It
but
was something that they thought was destructive and negative. They perceived it
yes,
as.
within that narrative,
Mhm.
within that narrative. But I also remember a line in Oblio, um, when at the beginning of the movie, Ringo Starr, the narrator, describes the society, and he describes that everything had a point, and he goes and shows different aspects of life, even a painter and whatever. And then the conclusion is, and the point was the point of them all.
Yeah.
So the ultimate goal was that very thing.
To have a point.
Yeah, it was not what's the truth, what's the reality, we want to understand more. It's knowledge, and it's no, the point, the goal, the thing that they had to guard was the point.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so this is where you have uh either a fanatic society or an open-minded society, which its development and growth is based on education.
Well, and here with Nimona, there was a similar scenario where, okay, they weren't guarding a point, but they had something that they felt they ought to guard and protect at all costs. And even at the end, as we're coming close to the end of the movie, there was the moment at which the cannons were aimed into the city. And that was a big revelatory moment because it forces you to understand that it's really not about protecting the people. The people are not the point. The point is
The point is the monster.
to destroy the monster,
destroy
to prevent the
exactly.
monster.
The
And it
whole
doesn't matter
narrative.
what cost
Yes.
is involved
Yes.
with that destruction of the monster. The monster has to be destroyed, even if it destroys your very own citizens.
That's
And-
the whole narrative was
Yeah.
around the monster,
right.
regardless.
So you're thinking in broader strokes, and I'm thinking more. Well, it's interesting. Nimona is portrayed as being a girl, a small little person, right? And I think that's good because back to this whole idea of here's a society which is dedicated to protecting itself against the monster, destroying the monster. This society created the monster first in their imagination, because what they imagined the monster was
Yes.
Was the whole reason they were protecting against it in the first place. And then their treatment of that being
Yeah.
that Nimona was the thing that turned her into the monster. And I think this is a really, really important thing to remember. Of course, you won't be surprised that my mind goes there, because as a teacher and someone who works with young people and sees a lot of young children, I see the results of different kinds of handling of children. And but I think it's an important thing for us to remember when we're dealing especially with young children, that the way we treat them and the way we relate to them is going to be the thing that either allows them to grow into a healthy, well-balanced person, or they will
The monster.
we will be the ones who make them the monster. And our fear is what's going to make them the monster, and the way we treat them because of our fear. We're afraid they're going to grow up and be bad, then we are going to force them into what we think is good. That fear and that way of relating will create a monster. And it's not just with young children. It's also with, as I said, the misfits, the outcasts, the people who, they make us a bit uncomfortable. We don't understand them. They're a bit weird. We're like, is he safe? Is she safe? Well, first of all, I'm not saying that you should ever expose your family or yourself to someone that you really feel uncomfortable, unsafe with, like truly. But at the same time, just because there is difference doesn't mean it's unsafe.
Yes.
And you can always treat somebody with dignity and respect, even if you don't feel terribly comfortable getting very close to them.
And so
you have the power to destroy monsters in that way, to prevent the creation of monsters.
Right. And so we come around to the same idea of the value of the education, and you can tell by now that we have very strong feelings when it comes to the importance of education. But anyway, I think I liked it.
Yes, it was
beautiful. Look, every now and then we found ourselves laughing. Okay. Such great lines.
Now I have to say something else, okay? This was a sort of animated movie, right?
Yeah, obviously.
And that's not the kind of movie I really watch. At first I was like, and I was staring at the screen trying to understand. Okay, and Vlad's sitting here laughing, and I'm just, huh? But after a while, I kind of got the hang of it. I kind of got the feel of it, and I started to be able to relax and enjoy it a bit more. So for me, this was not only a worthy story and told nicely in that way, but also a sort of educational, developmental experience for me in learning to be able to understand and relate to.
You opened up your mind towards a monster. To meet a monster.
Say it was a monster. It's just not something I've had a lot of experience with.
Look, I found myself laughing with tears. There were some lines which were so good. They were very good. It was nice. Come on.
It was nice.
It was fun. It was really nice. It was really nice. So,
and a good one to watch with kids too,
Yes.
You're trying to get them to understand these concepts and principles and the power that they have in how they treat people for the kind of society that they are going to create.
Yeah.
Because they are the creators of society, just as we are. Each generation carries that responsibility. So,
great movie, great animation, great line, great story, powerful message. We enjoyed it. Tell us what you think. We hope you will watch it, and we hope you will enjoy it at least as much as we did. We'll see you next time.